ああ、愛しき神の子らよ。赤き血の時代を終え、白き光の時代を始めよう。祈り手を天に捧げ、福音の時を迎えよ。聖魂よ、神の子を守りたまえ。聖魂よ、あだなす者を滅ぼしたまえ。聖魂よ、我らが極北の地に常しえの栄光をもたらしたまえ。ドラグマータ。
What's up guys? Welcome back to Toon, Duelists. Today I'm gonna show you my Spellbook Dogmatika deck profile. But before we start, let me ask you a question. Have you ever built a deck around a specific archetype? You know, looked around and found an engine you could play in it, built the deck, and slowly you started to like the engine you play in it more than the actual archetype? Well, that's exactly what happened to me with this one. I wanted to build a Spellbook deck for a long time because, of course, I have a thing for the classical spellcasters in Yu-Gi-Oh! You know, not the far-fetched ones like Altergeist, for example, that can easily be mistaken for machines, but the classic spellcasters, you know, robes, staffs, and of course, spellbooks. So I really like the design of those cards. They're spellcasters, reason enough for me to build a deck. And researching online, like, how do you play a spellbook deck? What engines can you play? I came around Dogmatika. And I really like this deck. I play it a lot, actually. And as time went on, the Dogmatika cards in this deck started to grow on me faster and even more. And yeah, I have to say I'm at the point where I really enjoy the Dogmatika part of this deck even more than the Spellbook deck. And honestly, Spellbook is rather the draw engine in this deck, and Dogmatika is actually the core. But yeah, I just love both archetypes. Dogmatika, of course, has a huge lore behind it with all the Elba stuff, amazing design cards, of course, and the use of the extra deck, which you don't need in a Spellbook deck anyways, is just amazing. But I'm going to deep dive into that when I explain the cards, of course. Then, of course, if you haven't already, definitely leave a like and a subscription. This would really help us a lot. And yeah, I'm super excited to show this one to you guys. And without further ado, let's dive right into it. Alright guys, as always, we start things off with the monsters. This is going to be a quick one this time. We start things off with 3 copies of Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. Amazing rarity actually, and of course also amazing design card with the very simple effect that if this card is normal summoned or flip face up, add 1 Spellbook card from your deck to your hand. So just a searcher and definite 3 off. Well, that's already it for the Spellbook part of the monsters in this deck. Next up we talk about the Dogmatika part, and we run 2 copies of Dogmatika, the Virtuous, of course. By the way, let me know in the comments which design do you like more. I definitely go with the original one. And yeah, this card is also pretty amazing in the deck. It has the effect that it can be destroyed by a battle with a monster special summon from the extra deck, which is already great for stalling. Then of course also if a monster special summon from the extra deck is on the field, you can special summon this card from the hand, which is also amazing. And if this card is normal or special summoned, you can activate this effect, add 1 Dogmatika card from your deck to your hand except itself. Also, you can special summon from the extra deck for the rest of this turn. The restriction is kind of hard, but not that devastating in this deck, obviously, and a great searcher, but 2 are definitely enough. We have various ways to search this one. And next up, we also run 2 copies of Dogmatika Florelis the Knighted. Also, amazing card right here. Also, which one do you like more? I'll also go with the classic one actually. And this one also has a similar effect because during the main phase, if a monster special summon from the extra deck is on the field, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then if you control another Dogmatika monster, you can negate the effects of 1 face-up monster on the field until the end of this turn. And when your Dogmatika monster declares an attack, you can make all Dogmatika monsters currently control gain 500 attack, and you can use each effect of this one only once per turn. Now this card is actually really great. It helps you with gaining attacks, so you can run over some of your big monsters of your opponent, which can really be a thing in this deck, and also can work as kind of a hand trap, negating a monster effect during your opponent's turn, but we can search it, so 2 is definitely enough. as well as for the next one, which is 2 copies of Dogmatika Maximus. Also amazing card in this deck, with the effect that you can special summon this card by banishing a Fusion, Synchro, Xyz or Link monster from your graveyard, which is already pretty great. Then of course, during your main phase, you can activate this effect, send 2 monsters with different names from your extra deck to the graveyard, and your opponent also sends 2 monsters from the extra deck to the graveyard, and you're locked out of your extra deck completely for the rest of this turn. But sending those 2 monsters is just amazing, sets up our shadow play. Amazing card right here. Definitely run 2, I'd say. Drawing into it is not too bad, but you can also easily search it. Great card right here. And the last Dogmatika monster we run, which is actually a new card we got in Doom of Dimensions, is of course Dogmatika Floraldis, the Thunderbolt. Amazing design in this one, and also pretty powerful card, because this one has a similar effect than the original Floraldis. Because during the main phase, if a monster special summoned from the extra deck is on the field, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. And if this card is special summoned from your hand, you can set a Dogmatika trap from your deck. And also, it can be activated this turn while your opponent controls a Fusion, Synchro, Xyz or Link monster with 2500 or more attack. Now this one actually also works great as a hand trap. If your opponent brings out a extra deck monster basically with 2500 or more attack, you can special summon this, set a punishment for example, and activate it straight up during your opponent's turn. So great interruption right here, which is also the reason why we run 3 of this one. You can obviously search it, but it works great as an interruption going second. This is one of the rare cards that really help us going second, so definitely run 3 of this one, and it's of course also pretty useful going first. So yeah, great card overall. And we finish off the monsters with one last spellcaster we run in this deck, which is Kaiku, the Ghost Destroyer. I hope I pronounced that right, but amazing card. And actually a powerful one, because this one has the effect that when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can target up to 2 monsters in their graveyard and banish those targets. And also, your opponent can't banish cards from either graveyard. This card is especially great with one of our Spellbook cards, Spellbook of Judgment of course, where you can special summon this during your end phase, completely locking your opponent out of banishing, which can be devastating of course. Completely destroys DD Crow, completely destroys Bestials, obviously. Just a great card overall, and I think definitely running one of those is not a bad idea. And guys, that rounds up the monsters, and let's move on with the spells. For the spells, we start off with 3 copies of Spellbook of Judgment. As you already considered, probably this is the part of the deck where the Spellbooks really try to shine, and Spellbook of Judgment is obviously one of the greatest Spellbook cards there is. Was banned for a reason back in the day, because this card has the effect that during the end phase of the turn this card was activated, you add Spellbook spell cards from your deck to your hand except itself, up to the number of spell cards activated after this card's resolution. Then you can special summon from your deck one spellcaster monster whose level is less than or equal to the number of cards added to your hand by this effect. This is pretty amazing, because not only does it give you amazing card advantage, but also just brings out your Kaiku and another lock for your opponent. Amazing card, and definitely a 3-off. As well as the next one, which is of course Spellbook of Secrets right here. Also amazing card with the very simple but powerful effect that you add a Spellbook card from your deck to your hand except itself, and you can only activate one Spellbook of Secrets per turn. Just a searcher, amazing card right here. And yeah, just great with your Spellbook of Judgment, of course, to like power up the amount of spells you activated. As well as the next one, also amazing draw power with Spellbook of Knowledge. Amazing card with the effect that you send to the graveyard either one spellcaster monster you control or one other Spellbook card from your hand or face-up field, except itself, and if you do, draw 2 cards. So yeah, amazing draw power right here. Also hard once per turn, but doesn't bother us. And the next one is actually not only great interruption, but can really save the duel for you. And of course, I'm talking about 3 copies of Spellbook of Fate. Amazing quick play spell right here with one of 3 effects, because if you control a spellcaster monster, you can banish up to 3 Spellbook spells from your graveyard and apply this effect depending on the number of spells you banished for this card's activation. If you banished 1, return a spell or trap on the field to the hand.
Boring!
If you banish 2, change 1 monster on the field to face down defense or face up attack position, so quick book, not too bad. But the last one is crazy, because if you banished 3, you can banish a card your opponent controls. non-target banish for any card is crazy good removal right here. Amazing card and a definite 3-off. And that's already it actually for the Spellbook spells we run. Next up, let's talk about some Dogmatika cards, and of course we run 3 copies of Nadir Servant right here. Also just an amazing card, and of course adds you all of your Dogmatika cards, because this one has the effect that you send a monster from your extra deck to the graveyard to add a Dogmatika monster or Fallen of Albus from a deck or graveyard to your hand that has attack less than or equal to that sent monster in the graveyard. Also for the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, you can special summon from the extra deck. Just an amazing card, of course, generic searcher for everything Dogmatika, and of course sending monsters from your extra deck to the graveyard is always beneficial in this type of deck. So yeah, just an amazing card and a definite 3-off right here, as well as the next one, which is a brand new card we got in the Chronicles structure deck, which is of course the Fallen and the Virtuous. Amazing quick play spell with the effect that you can either send one monster that mentions Fallen of Albus from your extra deck to the graveyard to target a face-up card on the field and destroy it, or if you have an Ecclesia monster in your field or graveyard, you target a monster in either graveyard and special summon it to your side of the field. And really important, this card is always treated as a Dogmatika and branded card. And yeah, just overall a great and really versatile card. You can pop cards, you can steal targets out of your opponent's graveyard or extend your own plays. Amazing card, and that's why we run 2. Next up is also a really good spicy card, but you have to draw into it, and that's the reason we run 3 copies of it. Of course, I'm talking about Duality. Amazing card right here, with the effect that you tribute a light or dark monster and special summon a light or dark monster from your hand or extra deck with the same original type and level, but a different original attribute. And during your main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard to target a light and a dark monster in your graveyard, shuffle both into the deck, and draw a card. So the second one is neat, some draw power in the grind game, not too bad, but of course this means banishing Floraldis, one of your 2 Floraldis, or your Maximus, you can cheat out such a great monster. Wait for the extra deck, maybe you already guessed it, but I'm going to keep this a secret from you for now at least. And talking about secrets, we also run, of course, 3 copies of Secret Village of the Spellcasters. Amazing card right here, and yeah, the reason why we had some rage quits in the Nexus-Replays. And this card of course has the amazing effect that if only you control a spellcaster monster, your opponent can't activate spell cards, and if you control no spellcaster monster, you can't activate spell cards. Just amazing. Of course, if your opponent has spellcasters, it's pretty useless, but otherwise an amazing card. Of course you have to draw into it, and that's also why we run 1 terraforming to get to this amazing card a little bit faster. But yeah, just overall an amazing card, locks your opponent completely, and with all the draw power we have, the chances are high we can draw into our Duality as well as our Secret Village. And guys, that's it for the spells. For the traps, we start off with Dogmatika traps rerun, and the first one we talk about is of course 1 copy of Dogmatika Punishment. Amazing card right here, with the effect that you target a face-up monster your opponent controls and send a monster with an equal or higher attack from your extra deck to the graveyard, and if you do, destroy that monster, and until the end of your next turn after this card resolves, you're locked out of your extra deck completely. Now, the thing is, of course, with our extra deck, we not only shoot 1 monster on the field, we also have various other effects. So great card, but we can set it straight from our deck, we can search it, so 1 is definitely enough, which is also the case for the next one, which is of course also a new card from Doom of Dimensions actually, and I'm talking about Dogmatika Beast. Also amazing card right here, with the effect that you target a monster in your graveyard or banishment and send to the graveyard 1 monster from your extra deck or 1 Dogmatika monster from your deck with attack higher or equal to that target, and if you do, special summon that target. Also, until the end of your next turn after this card resolves, you're locked out of your extra deck completely. But you can not only just extend with this card, which is already great, but it also again allows you to send monsters from your extra deck, which again has various other effects. Amazing card, but 1 isn't enough, same reason as Punishment of course. And the last trap we run is 1 copy of Shadow Schism. By now you probably know where this goes. Yes, of course we run the Shadows in this deck. And yeah, this card has the effect that during the main phase you can fusion summon 1 Shadow Fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials listed on it from your field or graveyard, but it can't attack directly. Then you can send to the graveyard 1 monster your opponent controls with the same attribute as that fusion summoned monster. So yeah, Overall, great card just to bring out our shadow monsters and lock our opponent further this way, but also can pop a card, so yeah, not too bad. Great card right here. Now, as you've probably guessed right now, because this is the end of our main deck, we don't run any non-engine really, because we don't need to. Our extra deck is our non-engine, and I'm about to show you this one because this is it for the main deck. Let's dive into the extra deck. For the extra deck, we start things off with the already mentioned El Shadow Winder. Probably our most important extra deck monster, I guess. Needs one shadow monster and a dark monster, must be fusion summoned, and it can be destroyed by an opponent's card effect, and each player can only special summon monsters once per turn while this card is face up on the field. And if it is sent to the graveyard, you can target a shadow, spell, or trap in your graveyard and add it to your hand. This is of course a huge lock. Only one special summon for each is crazy. Since you are basically never allowed to go into your extra deck, most of the time at least, this is not a big deal for you, but a huge deal for your opponent. Amazing card right here. And we don't only run this shadow monster, we also, to get to this, of course have to run another one, which is El Shadow Ab Cologne. Amazing design card, by the way. And this one has the effect, we don't bother summoning it because we only want to send it to the graveyard, because if it is sent to the graveyard, we can add a shadow card from our deck or graveyard to our hand to then discard a card. So this searches our Schism, it's a shadow monster we can fuse with. So yeah, overall, great card. All we need is another dark monster, and we have those. We'll talk about them in a moment. First, I want to talk about the Dogmatika specific extra deck monsters we run, and the first card we run is one copy of Granguignol, the Dusk Dragon. I hope I pronounced that right. Amazing card right here. Love the design of this card, always have. Now I'm finally able to play it. And we only care about the last effect of this card, because if a monster is special summoned by your opponent's activated monster effect, you can banish this card from your field or graveyard to special summon a Dogmatika monster from your deck or one Despia monster from your extra deck. So just free extender for a Dogmatika monster straight out of the deck. Amazing card, obviously. Next up, we also run a brand new card we got in the Structure deck or in the Chronicles deck, which is the Dragon that Devours the Dogma. Actually pulled this as a secret, and a great card right here, because of course it has a similar effect. During the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard, because it was sent there this turn, you can add a Dogmatika or Tri-Brigade card from your deck to your hand. So just in the end phase, Dogmatika Search, for example, great for your Floreldes cards. Yeah. Amazing card, but one is obviously enough, as well as the next one, which has a pretty similar effect. I'm talking about Titaniclad, of course. Basically has the same or similar effect, because also during the end phase, if this card is in your graveyard, because it was sent there this turn, you can add to your hand or special summon one Dogmatika monster or Fallen of Albus from your deck. So either extending or adding, but only a monster. This one searches a card, so yeah, not the same right here, but overall great cards. Now let's talk about the generic cards we run in this deck. We of course run one copy of Garura right here. If it is sent, we can draw a card. It's also a dark monster, so it works great with our Ab Cologne, but those two are also dark monsters, so we have plenty of dark monsters to go into our window, of course. So yeah, great card right here. Next up, we of course run also one Myriologic Aggregator. We don't bother, only for the last effect, obviously, which is that if this card is sent to the graveyard, we can target a face-up card on the field and negate its effects until the end of this turn. Just great right here. Then, of course, we also run Golden Cloud Beast Malong right here, because this one has the effect that when it is sent to the graveyard, we can target a face-up card our opponent controls and return it to the hand. And we, of course, also run one copy of Elder Entity Ntis, with the effect that if this card is sent to the graveyard, we can target a card on the field and destroy it. Now, this is basically our lineup we want to send with our Dogmatika cards right here, and it's just amazing. You have to keep in mind, with cards like Qua Dogmatika, which you can basically always activate, you have on request either a pop, a bounce, a negate, or a draw, or searches for your Dogmatika cards. This is just crazy good, and that's what I love about this deck, that you have this toolbox in your extra deck basically all the time available to you. Just amazing. Now, do you remember when I talked to you about Duality? Do you want to know which monster we cheat out with Duality? Of course, it's none other than Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. I just love the fact that you can play this amazing card in this deck, because our Dogmatikas, our Floreldes, our Maximus are all level 8 light spellcasters, and this is a level 8 dark spellcaster, so easy cheated out, and it has no restriction because the only effect this card has is that it cannot be destroyed by card effects. Neither player can target this card with card effects, and during your main phase you can destroy a monster your opponent controls, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack. You can use this effect a number of times per turn, up to the number of normal monsters used as fusion summon for this card, so we can't use it at all. That's a shame, but the most important effect is once per turn, when a card or effect is activated, quick effect, we can discard a card, negate the activation, destroy this card, and if we do that, this card gains 1000 attack. So just an Omni we can cheat out that can't be destroyed, that can't be targeted. Amazing fact that we can play this card right here, and another reason we need the draw power. Now, the next two cards are basically also a little engine in your extra deck to enable your Maximus, basically. We run one copy of our Salmon Great Almiraj. The effect doesn't bother us, it's just the fact that we can link one monster with just one normal summon monster with 1000 or less attack, which is obviously going to be our Spellbook Magician, which we have 6 copies of in the deck. And afterwards we can use our Almiraj to go into the next one, which is Secure Gardener, which only needs one Cyberse Link monster. Why is this important? With those two, we basically have a Link Fusion whatever monster, which is our Almiraj, in our graveyard, so we can banish it to special summon Maximus first turn. This is very important. The only thing that's a bit of a shame is that our Secure Gardener completely locks you out, because it can't be used as link material and the link arrow goes to the right, so if it's in your extra monster zone where it will be, you basically can't link summon after this card is out. But honestly, you don't have to anyways, so yeah. And it also has a neat effect, because once per turn, if you would take battle or effect damage, you take no damage. So this is kind of neat. And the final 3 cards in our extra deck are actually a small Link Climb Ladder, because of course we want to finish with this deck somehow, and if you haven't used those 2 in this turn, you can go for Lena, the Light Charmer Lustrous. Of course, all our Dogmatika monsters are light monsters, so this is our most played attribute, so that's why we run this one. Of course, needs 2 monsters including a light monster, and when it is summoned, we can target a light monster in our opponent's graveyard and special summon it to your zone this card points to. And if we can do that, we can immediately climb higher into, of course, our Selene, Queen of the Master Magicians, which needs 2 or more monsters including a spellcaster monster. And if this card is link summoned, we place spell counters on this card equal to the number of spells on the field and in the graveyards. And also once per turn during the main phase, as quick effect, we can remove 3 spell counters from this card to special summon a spellcaster monster from our hand or graveyard, which we will have. And then we can go into a link 4, which is obviously going to be our access code Talker. I guess you know it, I don't explain it, just a way to finish off the duel right here. So 3 small cards for a small link engine you can absolutely amazingly play in this deck. And guys, that's it for the extra deck. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, definitely leave a like and a subscription. This would really help us a lot, means the world to us, and it's just one small click for you, so definitely consider it. Then of course, let me know what you think about this deck profile down in the comments below. And of course, don't forget to check out the test hand video as well as the Nexus-Replays, so you know how this deck really performs. And yeah, I'd say until next time, have a good one.